All right. Rich, are you going to read us through the agenda or call to order at least? Roll call.
I will call the meeting to order. I apologize, I don't have the agenda in front of me.
I got you.
Thank you. We'll call the first meeting or last meeting to order.
And so next section is public participation.
Do we have anybody from the public attending? Darlene?
If anybody would like to speak, can you please raise your hand electronically? Well, we have no one wishing to speak.
No one, okay. And then I believe next would be approved minutes.
Correct. So the
Other
minutes
than
of
Chef's name, approve.
Yes.
I do have a couple clarifications.
Mhm.
Section A, third sentence up, the third line up from the bottom. Structural soils need clarification versus meets conflicts. Just for clarity. Needs clarification. And then on following page, third line down, walks so that soil is not compacted, not they are not compacted. That soil is not compacted.
Okay.
And that's all I had on the minutes. So a motion to accept as modified, I think is in order.
As modified. Can I have a first?
I'll make the
First,
motion.
Thank you.
I
And
modified them, so yeah.
minutes approved as modified. Thank you.
Okay. So the next section, Rich, is reports, which is just for my planting updates.
Take it away.
Great. Sorry, because I'm a little under the weather. So for our fall planting updates for 2025, we have 250, a couple more pending, what Gay is working on, 250 trees that are ordered. And then also, if you remember from the spring, we had 8 tree pits go in, like newly constructed tree pits go in on South Main Street. And this fall we have hopefully up to 5 tree pits within the MLK corridor on Ely Avenue, which were requested as part of the Whistleville improvements. And so Paul and I are going to meet out there and make sure there's no utility conflicts. But in addition to those 250, we may have 5 brand new tree pits going in over there. There's still overhead conflicts and not much room to work with, so they will be smaller statured trees, but still good to get something in where there is not a tree in sight over on Eli on the corner of right by MLK. So that is great. We have just want to give a shout out to Gay. We have 20 locations, a little over 20 locations from Gay's hard work this season. Mostly private tree requests, but also a couple of other spots. We've really been chugging along on cul-de-sacs. Like we've been finding a lot of barren cul-de-sacs that we've been able to plant on, which is they're usually really easy to get a very large shade tree in there, which is great. And then I just want to say so this is the first year that we've had seasonal staff that we've had available to actually be able to do some of the field work. Before me, it was pretty much Paul and then locations from committee members and requests and adopt trees from committee members. So just for reference, 500 locations with just 1 or 2 people is really difficult. It takes a lot. So we've had 3 staff members that were able to work with us this fall. And they surveyed a little over 450 potential planting sites from the inventory and from tree requests. And so out of that, we were able to successfully get 250 locations. So I just want to highlight, first of all, the inventory is really helpful for those identified planting sites, but mostly having that capacity with staff and more resources is really, really helpful.
Yeah, Sarah, I was just gonna ask you about the inventory. So those trees that we have in the ground already, I guess not the ones that are on order, are they, have they been accounted for? Or do we need maybe some student help or anything like that?
So the tree inventory that we're able to complete this fall from funding from the Inflation Reduction Act, that'll be done of like mature existing trees. Seasonal staff inventoried what we planted this past spring, but like if we could get any kind of like internship, it's good like winter experience or winter work.
Yes.
To now inventory what we planted this fall, like that kind of gets us ahead. So always
100%,
accepting any
okay.
help.
Okay, okay. And can I put them in touch directly with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect, will do.
And then just a very brief like budget update. So with the MLK corridor grant, we should have between 20 to 30,000 left. It really depends on how many of the tree pits work out. And we're still waiting on a couple last locations. In the DPW account, this year we were approved for $200,000 in the capital budget account for DPW, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but the highest amount that we've been able to secure,
Is a record. Yes, that is
Yeah.
a record.
double what we got last year.
Yes.
So for scale, 250 trees in one planting season is a lot. So out of that $200,000, there will be about $30,000 to $35,000 left after what we just planted this fall, which is pretty good considering the price per tree. But I am trying to keep that on reserve so we do have money for spring planting. The Rec and Parks account will have about $20,000 left for planting in the spring. And then we do have an account from the GGP. If you remember when the Sono collection was happening, we received funds from that. We will have about $10,000 to $15,000 left in that account, which really should only be spent in not South Norwalk, but really in closer proximity to, Sono collections, that specific area downtown. So Peter, what you've been talking about for working on the medians kind of down over there, that's money that could be allocated for that.
So let's actually figure out how to target that.
Yeah.
Because
That's actually still considered South Norwalk, so that's fine.
Yeah.
right. I mean, that would be a high profile, which is, and it's looking very bad right now.
It looks horrible, because I was gonna actually bring that up and say, like, can we do something with that? It
Yeah.
looks horrible.
I mean, Paul, if you can get, some planning, just aerial or.
Oh, yeah, we have
Get the
aerial
map.
photos. We can get you aerial photos.
Take me nothing to sit down and look it up.
Yeah.
All right, what I'll do then is I'll get you something from basically I-95 or even
Well, both sides, both-
Mansion
both
all the
from
way
the
down, all the way down
Down.
to North Main Street, South Main Street.
Right.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the city still owns that parcel by the new building. That corner across from Lock Mass is still city owned, right?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That parking lot is city, and the whole meeting down to the Sono collection.
Mm-hmm.
On that,
Yeah.
on that note, just putting on an advocacy hat, can we explore, I know that there's regulations and things like that, but I don't know can you explore something other than the columnar sweet gum, maybe more canopy? That would be my only question.
Yeah, no, I think meetings would take canopy trees, Jeff, because of the shade. The object here is to put shade on that drive.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not shaded at all, so.
Yeah,
if we're-
agreed.
That would look
That'd be
much
great.
better. That would look much better.
And they have the volume of soil in that median that I can see from the surface.
And Peter, could we
So-
get larger caliper trees that would accommodate the clearance needed? Like,
There are no overhead wires.
No, we're
But
talking about the vertical clearance of like vehicles, buses, things
We
like
we
that.
can try, yes, we can.
Cause you wanna have 14 feet, so that you're
Yes.
not.
You're
clearing
gonna have to
branches.
try for 14 feet there, yeah.
Yeah,
okay, great.
Yeah, that was the reason we did the sweet gums is because those islands down in MLK in that area, or some of them are only like 4 feet wide. And we had the traffic right up against it, so it was like, that was why some of those were done.
right.
when we staked those out a few
I
years
remember
back.
that, right. They're doing, most of them are doing okay, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Keep them tight, keep them together so you see them.
I'll just advocate for shade, that's all. I know that there's restrictions,
so
so.
we'd like to,
Yes,
we would have
yes.
loved to have gotten maple trees all the way down that line there,
Yeah.
but there was just no soil to do it and we didn't have the vertical clearance to be able to do it either because of the islands and the turning lanes.
They would.
Yeah, no, that sounds.
More parkway like, more like a parkway.
Exactly, exactly.
Could be. And then just to wrap up, so for the calendar year of 2025, we'll have 300 trees planted for the year. So that's pretty great. We've
Very
been on
good.
par for 400 to 500 with our kind of additional ARPA funding. I think the basically doubling of the tree planting budget this year is really helping us be able to kind of balance that with now the ARPA funds being expended. So yeah. Okay. The next thing, Rich, is old business. The first thing on there is Marvin Beach, which I can speak to. Marvin Beach tree planting
Please
concerns.
do.
Okay. All right, so I've been speaking with the neighborhood association in Marvin Beach, and again, a resident who's previously a tree liaison that had worked with Paul to get a lot of plantings done down there. And I just want to start by kind of reading, because I think it's pretty educational. I want to read out, I kind of made a summary of the concerns that we heard for planting specifically in that area. And primarily, I think most folks know where Marvin Beach is. It's situated right on the water in the harbor. So a major concern was waterfront views and how that would affect property values as well. And so primarily we reduced the final tree planting locations significantly in order to address that concern, because we certainly understand that. But in addition to that, power lines were a concern, utilities, and so we select smaller statured trees to ensure that there is still safe clearance around utility wires, trees that will only grow to a max height of maybe 20 feet. A lot of folks voiced concerns about damage to sidewalk by roots in the future, and so in the same regard, I think the largest planting strips that we had there were maybe 3.5 feet wide. We really switched over to not being able to plant more than a smaller statured tree in a median that's only 3 feet wide. Because in reality, if we were to plant something like a red maple there, it's inevitable that the roots would eventually uplift the sidewalk. So we do take a lot of care in making sure that our species are matched to the planting space. A common concern that I've gotten this fall in particular is about leaves clogging storm drains and trees contributing to flooding. And so in my response to the neighborhood association and other residents, I've tried to explain that Public Works does perform street sweeping on a regular basis, and we will respond to any reports of clogged storm drains. But also trying to inform that trees do, like literally by their canopy, slow rainfall, so they can kind of buffer a little bit in certain storm events, and then also they do absorb stormwater runoff, which is actually quite helpful in flood-prone areas. And then parking and sightlines. So trying to explain that we do space any tree plantings to maintain on-street parking. And this is the first year we were able to do young tree pruning on any of our street trees, and I think ever. So I was able to have my seasonal crew go out and start actually clearing for pruning for clearance on the sidewalk and for vehicles. But we also do make sure that we're spacing things. Paul is super helpful in terms of understanding sight lines from intersections.
And 30-30
from
sightline
driveways.
triangles.
Lots of different measuring tapes out there. we take a lot of care to make sure that we're not blocking sightlines or street signs, stop signs, anything like that. So I just thought it was helpful to kind of read common concerns from residents. These are things that I've seen repeated since I've started. Paul, obviously, you've heard a lot of the same things, but I think it's helpful for like targeted education and outreach in the future also. So out of 50 locations that the consultant doing the tree inventory identified, my staff and myself went out and identified 30 of those locations to be suitable for city standards right now. A lot of times, like somebody has a tree in their yard that we're not going to plant a dogwood just because it's shaded right now. Like we can wait a couple of years and maybe come back and plant something more substantial. Out of those 30 locations, taking into consideration all of the community's concerns and feedback, we went with only 6 final locations, primarily on Gregory Boulevard. Again, really trying to understand the concern about waterfront views, with an understanding that folks are welcome to, take a part of our Adopt a Tree program for planting in private yards, potentially even in backyards in an area like this. And, in the future, as other trees maybe start to overly mature or there's more opportunities or more folks request trees, like we can always go back in the future and add more. So that's kind of, just checking back in on that situation.
Yeah, over 20 years, probably down in that area, back to when John and Lucy Janician were the tree liaisons down in there, that area, we probably planted about 100 trees, I'd say, down in that area, because we were doing 5 and 10 every year for quite a few years.
Mm.
Okay.
Was a focus point.
Next on the agenda, Rich, is a recap of the meeting about the roundabout for Richards Ave, that I think Gay would like to speak to.
Okay. So the meeting took place on September 30th, and Jim Travers, who's the Director of Transportation and Mobility and Parking, was there on the platform. And just some general information, some notes that I took. Construction is to begin this summer of 2027. They're going to replace aging signals with construction of a single lane roundabout, including curb ramps and crosswalks. The roundabouts have been proven to reduce injury and fatal accidents. It's going to create a gateway to West Norwalk area and the community college. The new land will be used will come from the community college property only. They're going to add safety improvements, such as a new pedestrian crosswalk between the campuses and provide a multi-use path. It's going to slow down the traffic prior to the roundabout by narrowing Richards Avenue and getting rid of all the parking along Richards Avenue now and building sidewalks and bike paths. They're going to line the sidewalks with new shrubs and trees, and the center of the roundabout will allow for space for greenery. It's one of the questions that we had. So when I went to the meeting, I was representing the Tree Advisory Committee, and one of our questions that we had raised was to make sure that there would be greenery within the roundabout and along Richards Avenue and Cedar Avenue. So it seems that generally they've answered that question and they're going to be doing that. That being said, I spoke with Jim Travers about coming to our committee, which is now going to be, I guess, in the year 2026, so the next meeting, set up a time with him and let him know that our desire to be involved in the selecting of the greenery for the roundabout, as well as our concerns about the maintenance and the soil composition and the drainage and who's going to water it, who's going to take care of it, etc. So I asked if he was willing to join our meeting. He said, absolutely. He's open to all questions. And he said he was fine about that. So I can reach out to him again and set up a meeting in January, February of next year. I also want to talk to Jim about a very mature maple tree. It's located on the East Campus. It's on the corner between Cedar Street and Richards Avenue. And it's right in back of that retaining wall, and it's a very mature maple tree, if anybody knows about it, it's a good over 100 feet. I want to make sure that we can work around protecting that tree. I don't know the section that's going to be taken away for the roundabout. I really couldn't tell from the diagram. So I just want to make sure if that can be protected, because the key is always getting in early before the plans are drawn to protect some of these mature trees. So I don't know the answer to that yet, but I'm hoping to reach out to him and find out, or we can bring it up in the meeting when I set up, I don't know, based on his schedule, January, February.
They're still in sort of planning phase.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They had a huge turnout with people having a lot of questions, and they were very open to it. There were people saying they couldn't back out of their driveway because they're narrowing Richards Avenue. There were major concerns, and so they're going to be addressing a number of them. But he heard me loud and clear, and he's very happy to work with us on it. He heard my questions or concerns. He raised a few of the questions, and so we'll have that when he's here. And we're gonna be very involved in it, which I think is good, so we can all get involved in the selection of the greenery and the shrubbery and the trees along the way.
Yeah, I mean, shrubbery is very hard to maintain in the public realm, so, I mean, to me, might not be well spent money, but.
Then let's say it.
I don't say it, I mean, I don't even know where it is, but it's, I watched, you know, shrubbery go in front of West Rocks Middle School. And every time I go by and the shrubbery's gone, the trees are there, but the shrubbery's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, from snow plowing, there's lack of water.
Right.
So
always
unless
an
there's a
issue.
maintenance plan for something like that, you know, we'll talk to you. But,
Mm.
you know, sometimes it's not well spent money.
Well, can we get involved in it since we have a watering trail and kind of help with that? Or is that, look at the look on Sarah's face. Oh my.
Well, I
Wow.
think some of this is a
Not
little
true.
premature, guys.
Right.
Yeah, some of it's a little premature. There's also some information on the CT State website about this. The town hall meeting was held on the campus. So there's a bit of information about it on the college site as well.
Good, so, you know, we'll have to take a look,
See what he has to say.
make it the best it can be.
2027, you know, there's time. Obviously, the design will be finalized far in advance of that, but I think it's good that we have the conversation open.
Right, and let's get in early about it. That's all you always hear about it.
Yes.
We had known about this earlier, so we're nice and early.
Rich, are you with us?
I'm still here.
Okay. Just making sure. I saw you went off camera, so I was worried.
The battery died. I had to plug it back in.
Which one
Sorry.
off the grid?
Yeah, off the grid.
An Irish goodbye. The last item on the second to last item on the agenda is again new business. Again, Gay, if you like, we spoke about this a little bit, but in terms of outreach and education, the potential of creating a brochure to hand out to residents, and we've talked about two things about kind of the program and like how you get to select a tree. More so the adopt a tree program for private property, but then really more critically, as we've talked about, actual how to care for your tree and
Right.
once it's actually planted. So if you want to talk about that.
Right, so the number one question I get when I'm meeting with the residents about planting the tree is who's gonna water the tree? So even though I assure them that we have a watering plan for the next 2 years, they don't feel comfortable about that guarantee. So the very next question is, how much should I be watering the trees? So I will give them the answer and then they quickly write it down. So, but I think it's better to have a brochure to give out to them. So in addition to watering it, and I think we need to be details about it. If you're using a hose, how many minutes?
Yeah.
Sometimes I go through that with them, how many minutes we go to the hose and we turn on the hose and exactly how to water a tree. So you don't pour it all on, just on the trunk. I had one man that dropped, I don't know, 12 gallons because he hadn't watered the tree and it looked dry. So he took 12 gallons, that's 1, 2, and dumped it all on this tree and the tree looked in bad shape. But anyway, if there's an irrigation system, how long do they need to water? Should they not bother to water? Do we worry about the irrigation systems? It's the underground, it's the hose with the drip. exactly how many gallons of water, if I just have a pitcher, how many times during the week do I do it? Do I get a break? And I say, if it's raining during the week, you don't need to water it, depending on the amount of rainfall in the wintertime, if you have snow or ice on the tree. So there's a lot of details that we know go into that.
Quick question, when we provide a tree, do we not provide a gator bag?
No.
No, we do
As
not.
part of the contract, they either have to water it or put the gator bag on. Olmsted has the choice of doing either.
Right, because I think that gator bag would offset the majority of those questions.
That's true because they can't
That's
overwater in one sitting if
overwater,
you just fill the
exactly.
bag.
And it,
We
and it just
barely-
as needed.
Rarely do we see anybody overwater a tree.
Right,
Rarely.
right.
No, I
Unless
wonder.
they have
Very
sprinklers.
rarely.
And so the question about overwatering is I went out explaining to them, perhaps this can be in the brochure about if it's moist to the touch, it doesn't need watering. And then the other thing I want to touch upon too, and all perhaps in one brochure that we hand to the residents, is the value of trees with nuts or fruit, because nobody wants a tree with nuts or fruit. They want a tree that has flowers year round,
Yeah.
52 weeks out of the year. But they don't want the bees, so can we get a flower that doesn't attract bees? I'm not kidding. And then the value of a native tree. So there's a lot of things that we can really touch upon, again, with the mulching and how to correctly mulch and, so there's a lot that can be filled into this brochure. That's
Like
easy
a-
for the resident to understand.
You're envisioning
care
something like
guide.
what you're
A
envisioning
care
something like
guide
what you do with the
with
pruning.
a
And we can
little
add-
insert on general biology. You want a flower, but you don't want fruit.
Right. We've tried explaining that. Errol.
Doesn't happen.
Gay is very good at selling it
I
though.
was about-
I have seen it. in
Or
action.
you're envisioning something that would be like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper or a trifold like you did with the
Like a
pruning.
trifold, I think would be easy and everyone's input into proofreading it and the mulching, and I'd like to have the diagram because I think when they visually see what a volcano looks like, it makes a lasting impression on it
Yeah,
versus spreading it sort of to the ground and getting the information about oxygen needs to get to the tree and you don't want critters nesting in there, et cetera. So
I think it's good to come
simple
up with the
terms.
content first and then see like, is it a little booklet? Is it just a
Okay.
small trifold?
Sure, yeah.
Because
Or
think
is it a
small
QR
trifold
code to a
makes sense.
website
yeah, to like a
What-
PDF
where
also.
where people can just access it anytime and print it up on their own?
But it's important, like
I need to hand it out.
I
to
think
them,
it's a
Erica.
combination of both.
Yes, I agree,
Yeah.
but I need to physically hand it out to them. I think it's because I'm not sure people always make that extra effort to go to the website.
Exactly.
Scan it, but if you physically hand it to them, when they're asking all these
That's
questions,
totally
you sort of
different.
make a little trip around the yard and show them what it looks like.
I agree.
And,
I show and
and
tell.
much of this information should be available through what, the Arborist Association?
Yeah, you could actually just ask Siri.
I mean, but there's a series of developing diagrams.
Okay,
We could probably,
That sounds like a program we should have. Just ask Sarah
put my personal phone number out there.
weekly.
But I think that's really important, Gay, because it's also it's not just about planting the tree, it's making sure it survives. And if it's in your
Exactly,
heart,
it's
it's
making
personal.
sure.
It's not just
right, it is. And I also, because I give my private email address and my private cell phone, I will get phone calls months later. Can you stop by and visit the tree and check out how it is? And sometimes they do that. I don't know, but
Oh.
they're usually very senior people who are very lonely, and which is
And they
very
just
sad,
want
I have to
company.
say.
Yeah,
They
just
want
want
the
company.
company,
Yes.
you know, they bring out the drinks of orange juice, and it's more a relationship, companionship.
Yes.
And they like it because we're representing the city of Norwalk, and, well, the tree advisory committee is soon to be changed. But so I think it's a good PR for what we do and how we care for the residents, because then it spreads around the goodwill, right?
Right.
So it's good PR.
there you have it. Hello, tree, how are you?
I get the photographs when they're hanging the ornaments on the tree. Okay, that's it.
So if I could add something to this, I know in the tree planting and the watering aspect of it, the gator bags are optional, but it keeps coming up every year, it seems like. Should we incorporate that into the tree planting RFP? The gator bags are mandatory?
And that's something that could be done. It could be, yeah. I mean,
100%, 100%.
They are
Because
pricey.
it seems like it just keeps coming up and coming up and
Yeah.
coming up, and we dance around it.
How much are they,
Yeah.
Rich? They're not like $5. They're like
No, I think they're like 15 if you buy them in quantity.
15 to 20, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not inexpensive.
I mean,
They're
that's
not
something, Sarah, I
inexpensive.
mean, we could put it in the RFP that it's mandatory instead of giving them the option. You know, what are
You
your
could
thoughts?
find them, you could find them for less. They just won't be that gator bag brand.
It may be something that's applicable for the individual trees. Whereas if the contract is, you know, a line of street trees, then it's optional. Kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what
Because-
I was thinking.
So
Maybe we hand them out.
mandatory if
like-
it's on private property.
Or.
But what if the
individual?
residents don't want the gator
Well,
bag? How often do they have to come and fill up the gator bag? So you still have a watering program, but is instead of weekly, is it every 2 weeks or during the drought?
They still need to understand how to water a tree.
Yeah.
Gator
Okay.
bag is supplemental.
Okay.
So watering a tree, it's, you know, it's deep watering and it's intended to expend roots
Right.
to moist soil. So that's the concept of why you water is number one.
Mm.
And you can do A or B with a gator bag. But why you water and how you, what the intent is part of the brochure.
Well, it's tricky, I think, for residents too.
Well, just understanding that, you know, you're trying to wet a volume of soil, not just water the tree ball.
Right.
So that's kind of, the baseline is explain to them why they're watering, and that takes about 3 years.
yeah, I would say there's like two things. So for the private residents, I think the watering bag, like you guys said, is helpful because then it's just you fill it up and it's slow infiltration and they don't have to worry about measuring it or how long to leave the hose on and things like that.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
simplifies it.
relatively inexpensive for us to be able to provide them. I don't even know if it's necessary to put it in the contract, Paul. Like, only on private residents do we provide this. So that might be an easier way if we provide them. And then in terms of the actual like street tree planting per contract, I don't know that we can, I don't know if it's advisable to regulate how they water, or if they want to use my least favorite name, the tree diapers. The
Oh.
watering rings.
No, because you can't tell the contractor means and methods.
Yeah,
You're really not supposed to.
so
It's up to
that
them.
gets tricky. But certainly for private residents, I think, I mean, Sonia, you've told me like I've had to drag a hose all the way over here, like because
Right.
people aren't watering this. So it makes it easy.
Right.
You fill it up and you're good for at least a week or maybe two. So that might be a good thing to look into.
I completely support that. And as an avid user of the gator bags, it takes the questions out of it. And like Rich said, it just makes it more foolproof.
Even though we stole yours, Erica.
I know, but you did give me one
We gave
back.
it back.
I still have that in my garage, by the way.
Really nice, Rich. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm gonna use it next year.
Jeff has this?
Yeah, on that topic, I guess, does that, the tree diaper versus gator bag change or based on like a multi-stem tree versus a single stem?
That's true too.
Well, there's also an issue of too much dampness against the tree trunk on the bag versus the diaper. There are multiple issues, but
Yeah, I'm not sure, Jeff. I mean, I'm imagining like a multi-stem redbud. Yeah, you can't necessarily get a gator bag around those
You
stems.
might have to
but-
do a double gator bag. They connect.
The
Right.
Zippers.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I guess
double
it
gator
just,
bag.
it just depends on per application. So,
Which then it goes back to what Sarah was kind of saying, maybe we
Yeah.
end up having, and Peter, I see him shaking his head too. And you kind of have to have both because it gives you the flexibility and the contractor the flexibility to do what he needs to do or if he needs to do to water the tree properly depending upon the species.
Right.
Okay. If we're all set, Rich, the next item on the agenda is updates from Norwalk Tree Alliance.
Go right ahead.
Jeff.
Hello, Jeff from the Tree Alliance. Happy to be here. Happy to update everybody on our tree count on the year. This year we've gotten in a total of 373 trees, which is really great. It's a record for us, and just bravo to everyone. And I just reiterate with your residential programs, if you have locations in backyards, please send them over to us. I think we've sent a couple of cul-de-sacs. I know that was a couple residents had reached out to cul-de-sac plantings, and I think Sarah, you got a couple of them, so that was good partnership. So just continue that. And yeah, right now we're building our spring location list, and we have about 60 currently planned for. That will grow as the requests come in, and really looking forward to next year. We have some really exciting stuff planned. So stay tuned. And then October is finished up, but we had an educational series at the tree farm at Fodder Farm. We did four sessions of tree bathing, and it was really well attended, really positive, and a good education for everyone who was there. Obviously, people who are interested in trees are doing the tree bathing and know why trees are important, but I think it's an opportunity to continue in multiple seasons, just really just slowing down and observing the natural world around us. So again, successful in fall, hopefully looking to continue that in the spring and summer, because as we know, trees change in seasons with the seasons. So just really, really wanted to celebrate that. And yeah, Melissa from our board put that together, so that was really great. And thank you for everyone who came out. And off the top of my head, that was really it. Good, successful year, 2025 and 2026 coming up. Looking forward to it.
Jeff, I have a question for you.
Yep.
A city council person that reached out to me about having a tree planted in his backyard, and I sent you information on it. Did you receive it?
Yeah, you said that they were gonna reach out, but I never saw anything come through. So from them, that
Okay, I'll send you the information again.
okay.
Okay, great, thanks.
One of the things, Jeff, too, then, as we come to the end of the year too, started to talk with Sarah about the recertification for the Tree City USA. If you guys could start working on your budget numbers and you just gave us the tree number, then for what you've done in the fiscal year, basically to June 30th of 25.
Yes.
Then that would help us start to put the application together for the recertification. So if that's something we can get in the next month or so, I just figured I'd mention it so it stays on the front and center.
Yep. I have fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026 separated out, so we're all ready. We're all organized for that, so we'll get you information on that.
Cool. I'll bug you soon, Jeff.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
Can I make my final announcement, Rich?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So later this evening, the Common Council is going to be voting on updates to the tree ordinance that are primarily updating some definitions and language in accordance with recommendations from the tree master plan, but that does include that the tree advisory committee will now be, as long as it's approved, now be named the Urban Forestry Commission. And so membership will restart. The tree advisory committee will technically be dissolved. It's similar to what happened with the Bike Walk Commission when they were just an advisory board and then became a more formal committee or commission. And so just in case this is our final tree advisory committee TAC meeting, the mayor will be saying a few words to thank all the members. I mean, Paul can speak to the history of that and all that's happened through TAC over the years, but just thank you for everybody's involvement. It's been a pleasure. When I first got to Norwalk, I was like, oh, there's a whole committee about trees. Cool. So there are nerds out there that care about this, that are involved with the city. That's cool. So it's been a pleasure to work with you guys for almost 2 years, but thank you guys, and we'll see if that passes, and then see everybody. There'll be a new commission in 2026. So
And that note,
Norwalk Tree Alliance is looking for board members, just saying.
Jeff, we need
No.
we're
No,
not-
that's great. That's great.
and following up, Sarah had just said, the mayor had asked if we could distribute letters of recognition and thank you to the various members. And there's one for Gay here, there's one for Sonia, and there's one for Peter. I got one for Rich, and I got one for Erica. But basically, the mayor is thanking for the work that was done over the years from when the committee was first formed in 2002. So it's been 23 years that it was formed, and a variety of things from the plantings that we've done over the years, almost 2,500, to the tree festivals, to the Arbor Day celebrations, to the cleanups, to the actual first tree management plan, which has now been replaced by the new tree management plan that Sarah's talked about, the liaison program. And he's basically sent this letter and wanted to thank everyone that's donated their time and trying to improve the city for the residents, visitors to the city. And he will be reading the letter at the Common Council meeting, thanking each of you by name tonight.
Awesome.
So if you wanna go.
Great.
Sounds
amazing.
good. Thank you.
That's
And
amazing.
I'll make sure we can get Rich and Erica, we will get you your letters.
Thank you so much.
Much
you.
appreciated, guys. Have a good night.
It's been great working with everybody on this committee. Well,
Hopefully
on
we'll
the commission now.
see each other on the new commission.
See you all there.
Thank you.
all right, thanks,
Bye,
guys.
guys.